Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investment Brokers, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, Cam Heathcott, and Chuck Verno. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor, 365 Sports. What a weekend it was. What a Sunday it was. What a game in Lubbock it was. And, Mack, thank you for your time with Craig and Paul, David Smoak as well. So let's start, if you don't mind, with Sunday, the release of at least the story in the Sports Business Journal. Not official yet from the Big 12 point of view, but your thoughts about the story, the details, and everything about a TV deal that's done.
Yeah, I think one, I think I can share that, that story is extremely accurate. And so I think the facts, the numbers, the terms, so to speak, in the article are all accurate. And so it was, Sunday was an exciting day for, I think, the Big 12. And obviously, it was a day where I think many of us were fielding a bunch of phone calls. And it's a little bit hard to speak to because it hasn't been, officially announced by obviously the conference and or our TV partners. But I don't think, anybody would mind me saying that, again, those facts are accurate and we're excited about it. And it positions the Big 12, I think, really, really well. When we think about the future of college athletics, the future of Power 5, CFP, all of that, I think it provides stability and obviously it provides an uptick in revenue when many thought, just as recent as 6 to 12 months ago, that we'd go backwards, and we're not. And so I think that's really exciting and healthy for the league moving forward.
Mack, how fortuitous was it that last year the two teams in the Big 12 championship game were not the two teams that were leaving, and currently the four teams who are in the best positions to be in the Big 12 championship game are not the two teams that are leaving when you're going in to negotiate with media partners about the future of your league and what you're worth?
Well, to use your word, very fortuitous. Absolutely. And I think, quite frankly, ESPN and Fox, I think they saw that and they feel it and they believe in it that the strength of this conference is well beyond just the two institutions that are leaving. And when you think about moving forward, and there's still some uncertainty about what happens with the Pac-12, but at least right now it looks like we're going to be the only Power 5 conference that's going to be on both of those networks, or the family of networks. When you think about the Disney family, ABC and ESPN and ESPN2 and ESPN Plus, and then Fox Broadcast and FS1. There's not any other Power 5, and those are the two biggest formidable entities when you think about college athletics and especially college football and men's and women's basketball. And again, I think that speaks really well of the Big 12 conference. And while I'm at it, certainly Commissioner Yormark deserves a ton of credit. He's been relentless in working with the partners as our media consultant endeavor. They've been terrific. But I also want to make sure we give credit to former Commissioner Bowlesby, because gave us an opportunity, right? We reacted quickly, and when you think about the 21 football season, we could have gone through that entire season where the narrative would have been, we're damaged, we're hurt, we only have 8 teams. And instead, the conversation was all about the 4 that we added, and it was the best 4 to add. And so, he deserves a lot of credit for that as well. And as a result of all of that, including, how the 8 are performing right now and how they performed last year because of all of that, we're on great footing, and we had 2, we have 2 TV media partners that really believe in us.
Mack, I'm not sure if you could see the reaction, but how big do you think the smiles were in Provo and Cincinnati and Houston and what am I missing? Orlando, seeing those figures?
Yeah, knowing what the figures were or are in the American Athletic Conference, I would say that they all 4 had big smiles on their face. I know they did. So, it was a great day for them, and happy and excited for them. They are, when we start all of this, and particularly when the new TV contract begins, they're equal partners. And, if we're at, 12 when the 2 leave, it's going to be a great, 12 member conference. And I think we're all, we've all bought into that and believe in that and are excited about it.
Mack, did you entertain thoughts of having to run the athletic department with, say, half of the TV budget when everything went down, or did you have to focus on full steam ahead and let's make sure that doesn't happen before you really got there?
Yeah, that's a great question, Paul. Yeah, very, very truthfully, we began to do a lot of budget cost modeling, and what could this look like? 15 million down a year, 7.5 million down a year, and then alongside parallel to that, really, doubling down on revenue generation. And, since we arrived, 6 years ago, we've been really blessed. I've got a great team, led by Jovan, on the external side. And when you think about revenue generation, whether that's Fair Foundation, ticket sales, multimedia rights, licensing, all of those things, we have broken every record by a wide margin. And so we had conversations, obviously strategic plans about, we need to continue to do that. And we're going to need to double down. And by the way, just because of this new or future, TV deal, we're still going to need to do that because, again, college athletics, just this crazy environment that we're in, it continues to be more expensive when we think about all the deregulation that has happened and is going to happen here in the future. But Paul, it's a great question, and yes, so we went through all of that, and at the same time, still full steam ahead, and we got to find a way to make this work.
All right, so a couple of questions on the details. Whether it's 31 or 32 million per team based on the TV deal, whatever happens there, does that include Tier 3 rights, or is there even a Tier 3 rights going forward with the extension?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. So it is inclusive of all. Most of the financials, right, if not all of it, is attributed to Tier 1. And do not ask me why there's no Tier 2. Because I don't know the answer to that. It's always been Tier 1 and Tier 3. But, the Tier 3 stuff is all the stuff really that ends up, and not all of it, but this is a general statement, but primarily that's when we think about, ESPN, that's on ESPN Plus, ESPN Now, Big 12 Now, right? And I'm excited because there'll be a refresh of that. when we think about that moving forward. So the digital space is, again, there are some nuances and some one-offs, but in general terms, right, the digital space, at least with us, has been reserved for, or has been attributed to Tier 3. So it's, again, we're thrilled with it. Everybody's the same. Nobody's treated differently. And I think it's a really, really good place to be for our conference.
All right. And now my other question is, if you take that figure and add what might be the college football playoff expansion, and add bowl games and the men's basketball tournament, is that number of somewhere near 50 to 55 million compared to the distribution of 42.6 million, is that in the ballpark too?
Yeah, I think, again, you guys have asked nothing but great questions today. I can't say that every segment, but today I think I can. And but yeah, I think the pause is we don't know yet what the new CFP is, and so if we can get this expansion from 4 to 12 for the last 2 years, which would be the 24 football season and 25 football season, right? There's going to be more revenue, but I think that's one of the things they're working on right now is what does that revenue distribution model look like? Does it change from what it is currently? And then if it does change, how does that impact revenue? And then when we think, beyond that in the new CFP deal, what will that look like? What will those revenues be? And again, what's the revenue distribution model? But to answer your question, we certainly don't think it's going backwards. It's only going to increase. And so when we think about what it is currently, when we think about what men's basketball units are currently, and by the way, Cincinnati, BYU, Houston, Central Florida, they don't bring any basketball units with them when they come to our league. Those all stay with the American Athletic Conference. And even with all of that, our basketball units are extremely healthy because of the success of this conference in postseason. So it's I apologize for the long answer, but yes, I think we can be in that 50 to 55 million mark and continue to grow. And again, I think we're also focused on other revenue sources as well. So bright future, I think, for the Big 12.
Mack, on the Cincinnati, U of H, Brigham Young, and UCF note, when you mentioned basketball, you're talking about units the first year or the units as for how long?
Yeah, any units that they earned, up until they officially become a member of our league, stay. And as you know, those units are rolling 6-year periods. So it's the current year plus 5 years back. So any of those units, right, that they had earned for the American Athletic Conference historically, stay
right
there, and they don't transfer with them over to our conference. So we tried,
I'm sorry,
but they said no.
Is there something built into the deal that if, in fact, you decide as a conference to bring in new schools, does the number go up automatically in a prorated fashion?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's one, just quite frankly, I can't answer. I know the answer, but really, it's not for me to disclose. What I will say is I think we've got 2 TV partners that would be supportive of any type of expansion. I think both will not drive it, nor do they want to drive it. It would have to be, the conference driving it, and then it would be certainly a conversation in terms of, their thoughts, financially on those those particular institutions if indeed we try to expand.
All right, so is there something built into the deal of granted rights of the 6 years extension of anyone who signs it, they are then in a mode where they cannot leave your conference if, in fact, somebody else enticed them?
Yeah, so another great question. And so that's the next step, all of this, again, that story broke. It was leaked. It's accurate. But the next steps are, the signing of the grant of rights by the 12, and obviously, I don't think we'd be this far and openly talk about it like I am if we didn't feel really, really good about that. And so, that will be the next step for all of us to come together and sign that. And, that's a step that's in progress logically, right? If you're thinking about it logically and next steps and knowing there has to be a grant of rights, that's the process that we're in right now.
Today, Houston had a journalist that mentioned that they're going to host Texas in 2023 as a part of their Big 12 schedule. Do you know yours yet, and are you just going to break that here on our show?
I may break it on your show. That I will certainly give that consideration. And again, I will be transparent, and I think right now we do have a pretty good idea of what that looks like. What we don't know is the dates of games, the sequencing of them, any of that, and that's pending, and that's a lot of work. We've got some core scheduling principles that we live by. We've got some soft scheduling principles. We throw all of that into a computer. We also are looking at, just historically, competitiveness. That's part of the formula, if you will. And so trying to best determine, this fairness and how that works out. And so, just for an example, we added 4 schools, and, those trips are farther than what, all of our other trips, with the exception of West Virginia. So when you think about, going to Central Florida, Cincinnati, Provo, should you, if you've got 2 back-to-back road games like we've had, or like we're experiencing right now at Texas Tech and then at Oklahoma, should those be back-to-back, those long trips? Well, I think the conversation, or I know the conversation, they should not. And so all of that's factored in. And so that's the work in progress. And, I would hope around the champ game that we would have clarity on what the schedule looks like.
All right, I got one more question for you, if you don't mind, and I do want to at least ask you about Lubbock, because what an incredible win and atmosphere. You have Oklahoma this week, and I know that Oklahoma's down, but it's Oklahoma. The game is on ESPN+. Did that surprise you? And is it going to be even more of that in the future with the newest deal? Because that seems to be probably a disappointment for a lot of people that game is not on some sort of regular, let's say, an ESPN other than streaming or Fox or somewhere else.
Yeah, so it didn't surprise me. And I certainly understand, some disappointment. It's intentional, right? It's, ESPN wanting to grow subscriptions for ESPN Plus. And then, I think to answer the last part of that question, there will still be, primarily, with the new TV deal, the number of games on either ABC, ESPN, ESPN2 will continue to be substantial, and then certainly Fox broadcasting rights, the I call it the big Fox right, and then FS1, the other linear. So there will be still substantial most games, football on the linear platforms.
Lubbock, Texas. Your thoughts, if you want to look back on that win?
Yeah, I thought our team grew up. I mean, I thought that was, and obviously we won the game, and so it's easy for me to say that. But I thought, complementary football has been a phrase that we've used this season, and we haven't been able to really use it in a positive way. And I think we were able to do that after the game against Texas Tech. I thought we were really good defensively. May have been our best defensive effort. The way we pressured, loved the way we played in the back end of the defense, and I think those guys starting to gain some confidence offensively. I thought our offensive line was as good as it's ever been. And I will say the same about our defensive line. I thought it played its best game. And then, we were good on special teams, and it was going to take that type of effort to win there. As it's amazing how many people talk about it, how tough it is to play in Lubbock at night. And that was a sold out crowd, and they were inducting Patrick Mahomes into the Ring of Honor, and they had their Hall of Fame inductees as well, and all of that. So the place was juiced and excited, and plus just quite frankly the drama surrounding former assistant, now their head coach, all of that. And man, our kids went in and they competed and they fought, and it was a really good, solid win for us. And so I was really excited for our team.
Did you get a chance to say hi to Joey?
I didn't, and that was not intentional. There was just a bunch of stuff going on after the game. I know that obviously Coach Aranda did, and some others. I did get an opportunity to say hello to some other former staff members, which was terrific. And look, I love all of them. I love Joey. Wish him the very, very best. Except for when they play Baylor, and they're when we play them, they are the enemy, and we're going to do everything we can to win and win the right way.
Mack, thank you for a lot of your time today. We appreciate it. I do want to say this, and this is not from anybody to say it just because you're a part of our segment. I've had people within the Big 12 and others that know how much of a role you played, among others in the ADs and presidents of the Big 12, but how much of a role you played back in the fall when Bob Bowlesby got off the canvas, and so did the conference, and how much of a role you played behind the scenes with the TV deal. And it's not something that should go unnoticed. We appreciate that.
Well, thank you for saying that. I'm just grateful that Commissioner Yormark trusts me as well as some others. So appreciate y'all. Have a great day.
You too, Mack. Mack Rhoades, Baylor's Director of Athletics, trying to get all the little details.